Good morning and welcome. We are so happy to have you here today as Cushing dedicates our new dorms, Lee and Sanborn House, in honor of two very special people in the life of Cushing Academy, Mrs. Margaret Lee and Mr. Wayne Sanborn. I'm Yashi Thakarani, a four-year senior from Jamaica, and I'm a resident of Lee House. Being the first residents of Lee House, we have a really special opportunity to create culture in the dorm. As residents, we've tried really hard to create a culture of kindness that emulates everything that Mrs. Lee stands for, and we are really excited and grateful to be living there.
And I am Cameron Berube, a three-year senior from Haverhill, Massachusetts, and a resident of Sanborn House. It is a great honor to be living in Sanborn House for my senior year. The dorm creates a comfortable yet studious environment in which life-lasting bonds can be formed with my dorm mates, and I cannot be more thankful to have this opportunity in my Cushing experience. Several trustees of the Academy are with us this morning. We would like to recognize Mrs. Kristen Fisher, Mrs. Sue White, and Trustee Emeritus Mr. Chris Watkins, who is joined by Mrs. Karen Watkins.
We would also like to give a special welcome to the family and friends of Mr. Sanborn and Mrs. Lee, who are joining us, including Mr. Sanborn's wife, Jeannie Sanborn, who served for many years as a nurse and the director of the Academy's Health Center, and their daughter, Haley Sanborn, who is a 2002 Cushing graduate and a former faculty member.
I'd now like to introduce Ms. Colette Delabry, the chair of Cushing's Board of Trustees.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today on behalf of the Board of Trustees to celebrate the opening of our two newest dormitories on campus, Lee House and Sanborn House. And beyond the opening of these dorms, we are privileged to be celebrating two remarkable educators and individuals who have given so much of themselves to Cushing and to its students, Peggy Lee and Wayne Sanborn. Peggy and Wayne, I join the entire community in gratitude for your tremendous service to us over many decades. Lee House and Sanborn House are a wonderful addition to our residential community and to the campus. The board would like to thank all of those who were involved in bringing these new residential facilities online. The Watkins Family Foundation, members of the faculty, staff, and administration who worked with us to plan and bring these dorms alive, Architectural Resources Cambridge, CSL Consulting, and Windover Construction. I hope you will take the time to tour these dorms after this ceremony. 48 works of art by current and alumni artists have been installed in the dorms throughout the floors, and we are so fortunate to showcase the incredible talent of our artists throughout our entire campus. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to view the new sculpture on the lawn, which I think is actually right there. You can see it behind the people. 6 student artists collaborated with our visual arts department chair, Bob Johnson, to design and create this sculpture. It celebrates Cushing's diverse community throughout our history. 3 of those students who collaborated on the sculpture graduated in 2017, and we have 2 here today. I would like them to stand as I announce their names. One is Karina Yi, who is a senior, and the other student artist is Wesley Zhang, a junior. Congratulations on your outstanding work. We have another piece of art that was recently added to the lawn, and those are the cornhole sets that were designed and built by Stephen Young, member of the class of 1979. And as you can see from construction, if you can look around behind us or if you've gone past the dining hall and Ash House recently, our work to improve the campus is not yet complete. Thank you for your patience this weekend as our dining commons and Ash House undergo renovation and expansion, and we certainly hope you'll be with us at this time next year when those projects should also be completed. These new dorms, the renovation of the dining hall and Ash House, and the Watkins Field House, which we dedicated last fall at this time, and all of our buildings and facilities exist to support our students, faculty, and staff in fulfillment of our mission. Our mission is to exist for students and to create curious, creative, and confident learners and leaders. We also thank all of our parents and our alumni who are here today for your continued help and support of this very, very special school, and we invite and welcome your ongoing partnership as we work to further strengthen Cushing for generations that will follow. Thank you very much for being here today.
To offer tribute to Mrs. Lee, we will now hear from Dr. Norm CAREY, who retired from Cushing after 35 years as a beloved English teacher, chair of the English department, and an academic dean.
Yeah, I promise to be nice. I'll try. I'm truly honored to speak to you today on behalf of Peggy Lee, who is currently serving as interim co-head of Cushing Academy. I've known Peggy for 33 years, and in that time I've gotten to know her about as well as it's possible to know anyone. She started at Cushing as an instructor of ESL, English as a Second Language, in our summer session. Her husband, David Lee, served as a teacher in the history department. There was no gentler, kinder man than David, and when hepatitis, which he contracted while working with Peggy in Zaire for the Peace Corps, took him from us in 1995, he had established himself as a brilliant and dedicated historian who was respected and loved by everyone who knew him. Peggy became chair of the ESL department and in 1997 took on the responsibilities of academic dean, a position she held for 5 years. She then moved back into the ESL department, serving as both instructor there for the regular year and director of the summer session from 2007 to 2017. The thing you need to know about Peggy, if you don't already know it, and many of us do, is that she is uncompromising in her pursuit of excellence in everything she has ever done for the school. As a teacher, Peggy puts the rest of us to shame. I remember doing duty in Dumas House one evening when Peggy came into the dorm, this is around 9:30 at night, to go over an essay with one of her students. This was not an exceptional occurrence. Peggy routinely chased down each student she had, day or night, to go over the latest piece of writing he or she had done. Her dedication, no, really her devotion, to her students was unlike anything I had ever witnessed in my career. She placed her students' learning and growth above everything else. She is beloved by those students who were lucky enough to have her as a teacher, and our international alumni continue to offer testimonials to how she changed their lives. As director of the summer session, Peggy would visit every Walmart within, 25 miles to buy linens for incoming students if the supply was short before their arrival. As a teacher and as an administrator, Peggy internalized the advice of former head of school, Dr. Joseph Curry, to place the needs of our students above our own when confronted with those needs. She is herself a perfect model for what the ideal teacher should be. I would add that Peggy did all this, accomplished all these things, without fanfare or boast or complaint. She's one of the most selfless people I have ever known. But that's only a piece of the picture. You haven't lived until you've seen Peggy dressed in black leather, singing Born to Be Wild at Cushing Cabaret. When I was in the academic office, I walked in one day to find everything in my office upside down. My desk, my chair, all my books, my phone, my lamp. It took me 5 years to find out that Peggy was indeed the mastermind behind this nefarious prank. No doubt a response to some prank I had pulled on her. I remember playing air hockey with her while in New Orleans for a conference. I won, but by pure luck. Peggy was one of the reasons I grew to love Cushing. As a teacher, she showed the rest of us what true dedication is. As an administrator, she let the faculty know how she truly valued their work and values their work. And she led by example, not asking anyone to do something she herself was not willing to do. For me, Peggy epitomizes the Cushing Academy that I fell in love with. Working with people like Peggy was not work. It was a chance to live and teach with people for whom the job was not a job but a calling. Peggy Lee taught many of her colleagues what was important in this profession, and that's the school. We all, colleagues, students, parents, and alumni, owe her a debt that can not ever be properly repaid. The least we can do is what we are doing today, putting her name on a dormitory that can serve as part of her legacy here at Cushing. What she has done for the school and what she means to the school and this community should never be forgotten. Let Lee House serve as a testament to future generations of what Cushing is and what it can be. For all who know what the name Lee stands for. Thank you.
Coach Valerie Bono, a 1997 graduate of Cushing and coach of Cushing's girls varsity ice hockey team, will now share a tribute to Mr. Sanborn.
Good morning. I am honored and humbled to speak to you today about Coach Wayne Sanborn. It's so hard to put into words what Mr. Sanborn means to me in this community. I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Sanborn 23 years ago when I visited Cushing Academy for the first time as a potential student athlete. At the time, he was the athletic director here, and he welcomed me and some of my closest friends to campus because Cushing decided to start a girls' ice hockey program. From 1974 to 2011, Mr. Sanborn held countless roles, in our community. At Cushing, he was the athletic director, the assistant headmaster, dorm head, head athletic trainer, football coach, director of plant and property, and development lead. He would line the fields, fill the water bottles, order the uniforms, create schedules, and then reschedule the schedules. He has done so much more, and I am so confident he would do it again in a heartbeat. Mr. Sanborn was instrumental in nearly every aspect of the current day athletic program. We would never be where we are today without his unwavering support and commitment to building something very, very special. He was passionate and committed to having the best facilities, the best training, and the best opportunities for success for all athletes. He was the driving force behind the Iorio Arena and, of course, our girls' ice hockey program that I am so fortunate to coach today. He did all this quietly without fanfare. With all the roles he filled over the years, his greatest achievements came in the lives of the kids that he impacted. He influenced thousands of student athletes who ran these fields and courts and skated on that ice. He built a team culture and a tradition of success for all athletes in all sports. He created opportunities for each of us to grow and develop into confident leaders in our community. He did all of this while never speaking a word, and he made it look so easy. He treated every athlete with the same respect, girls or boys, freshmen or seniors. He held us all to a high standard, both on and off the field of athletics. What was most incredible is while that bar was set so high, he never made you feel like a failure along the way. He was positive, supportive, and at every game with a smile and a high five, no matter the outcome. He led our coaches with confidence and determination and built a special bond with each of them in his own way. He provided the coaches with organization and foundations to build some of the most successful programs prep school athletics has ever seen. Everyone wanted to work hard for Mr. Sanborn because he worked hard for everybody. Mr. Sanborn is humble and kind, generous and loving. He perfectly balances those amazing qualities with grit and toughness, strength and passion. And without saying a word, not one single word, he can speak to all of those qualities just by being present. This is a gift, and a gift that I personally have been motivated by since we met 23 years ago. Personally, he's influenced my thinking, my purpose, and my why. While I never had the opportunity to play for Mr. Sanborn, he has motivated me to be the best student athlete I could be and still does today. When I was lucky enough to be hired as the girls' varsity ice hockey coach last year, a dream I have had since I graduated, he was one of the first calls I received. He challenged me to be the best coach I could be and to work hard, but to remember to always have fun. During that call, he listened to me and my excitement and also my fear. And he said, "Valerie, you're going to be great." It was that simple. He takes care of us, he makes us feel safe, and we're able to do anything we dream of because he believes in us. As the years pass, I realized over time, athletes rarely remember the scores, the records of wins and losses, or the number of championships that we get. But we do remember the way we felt being part of something so special. We always feel like champions when Mr. Sanborn is around. Mr. Sanborn, you changed my life and countless other lives. I'm back coaching on this beautiful campus with these beautiful people and wonderful student athletes because of you. Thank you. I'm not done yet. No. I'm not going to talk about leather, though, and singing. It is so fitting that we stand upon this foundation of the beautiful Sanborn House, celebrating the life and legacy of Mr. Sanborn, one of the greatest builders of our Cushing community. Thank you.
It is now a pleasure to introduce co-head of school Margaret Lee and Mr. Wayne Sanborn to the podium.
It's really humbling and moving to have this beautiful living learning space named in my honor. Yashi and Norm, thank you for your very kind and thoughtful remarks. I was thinking this morning back to 1984, the spring of 1984. I'd just gotten back from the Soviet Union, a year there, and Dr. CAREY hired me. I knew when I stepped foot on the campus for the academic year that September that I was really in a very special place. But I never imagined that I would spend the rest of my professional career here, nor be the recipient of this great honor today. In fact, back in 1984, I had a whole lot to learn from my colleagues about what it was like to live our mission, to really exist for students. And the bar was set very high, as Norm mentioned in his remarks, very high. Joe CAREY expected that we existed for students and that everything that we did was for the personal, academic, artistic, and athletic growth of the kids whose parents had entrusted them in our care. From these legendary teachers and administrators, many of whom have passed, many of them, most of them, if they have not passed, have retired, I learned what it was like to find a student on the field, someone who hadn't done their homework that day. This was before the internet, before Snapchat, cell phones, etc. I learned what it was like to go to the dormitory at night and sit with the student and say, this essay really needs to be a whole lot better. Let's find a way to make it work. Spent time after dinner counseling my advisees, working with them so that they could achieve their goals or take a risk. These were all things that were expected and that people did, again, to use a common word here today, without fanfare. because we knew what our role was. And the people who were here before passed that knowledge on. So we learned from them. And there are people here today that I am indebted to. I continue to learn. The faculty that we have on the staff at Cushing is just amazing. They bring energy and wisdom and great care for our students. And in the dialogues that we have throughout the day, throughout the weeks, throughout the year, we do our very best to make sure that we live that mission and that we truly exist for kids and their growth. So in some ways, from those that came before and from those who are here now, I have learned how to challenge and support students. I've learned what it means to set kids on a path that values lifelong learning, giving back to causes greater than themselves, building a useful, productive, and fulfilling life. I am grateful, very grateful, for all of the advice, the role models, the friendships that these folks have demonstrated and continue to demonstrate. I'm also deeply indebted to the hundreds of students that I've taught over the last 34 years. I have worked hard to make sure that I have nurtured their curiosity and their passion, their interest. I have embraced their struggles and have tried to help them through them to find their own way, because that's the way we get through struggle, with the support. But ultimately, kids, as all of us, have to find our own way through all of that. My work with students over the years has made me a much better teacher, a much better leader, and a much better person. In closing, I would like to express my profound gratitude to Mr. Watkins, class of 1956, and his family foundation for their ongoing dedication to Cushing, and also for the great honor that you've bestowed on me today. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Mr. and Mrs. Watkins, trustees, co-heads of the school, faculty, parents, alumni, family, and friends. What a spectacular day. Bright sunshine, cool, lots of color. It just doesn't get any better than this on the hill in Ashburnham, Massachusetts. Today is one of those days, dear old Cushing days, we all remember in our alma mater. It's heartwarming to be back on campus and be with the many people I love and respect. Thank you for coming. Special thanks to my family for being here today. Valerie, thank you for the wonderful introduction and your thoughts and kind words. I need to take a moment to tell you a little bit about Valerie. She is an amazing young woman, and it really touched my heart this morning to have her do my introduction. Valerie is one of the finest alums at Cushing and one of the finest young women I have ever met. During her time as a student, she played a major role in all areas of school life. Most notably was her amazing leadership and ability. She was a tremendous three-sport athlete. Valerie bleeds purple, and no one is more committed and loyal to Cushing. She graduated from Providence College, where she was a standout on the women's varsity hockey team. And I'm happy to say she's now Cushing's head girls hockey coach. You can be sure the team will learn the game, but most importantly, the girls will learn life lessons that are so important today. Speaking of bleeding purple, Mr. Watkins has bled purple from the first day he became a student at Cushing. I have been blessed to know Mr. and Mrs. Watkins throughout my 38 career at Cushing. They are very special people, and Cushing is very fortunate to have them in the Cushing family. I know no one more thoughtful, generous, committed, or loyal to his school than Mr. Watkins. I spent many days over my Cushing career meeting with Mr. Watkins and our headmaster, planning and strategizing ways to move Cushing forward. We were striving for excellence with the goal to make Cushing the best school it could be. When he speaks, you sit up and take notice. His leadership and generosity has impacted greatly the steady growth and development of Cushing and kept us at the top of our game in a very competitive boarding school environment. I do have to tell you, though, Mr. Watkins' first love is athletics. He wants to be competitive. He wants to win with class. But he also loves kids, and he wants them to have the very best education and a great experience at Cushing Academy. He has supported all programs, including the athletics department, the academic department, fine arts department, residential life, plant and property, and many, many more. I hope you have the opportunity today to say hi to Mr. and Mrs. Watkins and thank them for all they have and continue to do for Cushing Academy. Cushing was my life and were my best years. I lived my life with a commitment and the passion to make a difference in the lives of young students and to build a school we would all be proud of. To be able to play a role in a student's personal, social, and physical development, sharing their hopes, their dreams, their failures and their successes, and then watch them walk across the graduation platform with self-esteem, a tribute to themselves, their parents, their school, and their community is the most rewarding experience you can ask for. This naming honor, the Sanborn House, represents more than me. It represents the Sanborn family. I was lucky to have a wife, Jeannie, that loved Cushing as much as I did. She was a very supportive and caring house mother in the dorms. She tutored, she covered study hall, and she did tons of baking, as you can imagine, feeding 35 young men that you could never fill up. Today, she has strong relationships with many alums, as I do. She also was a director of the Cushing Health Center for several years. My last couple of years, I worked in the Alumni and Development Office, and Jeannie accompanied me when I traveled around the world meeting with alums, and it was a very big help when you had large receptions to be able to greet everyone. My daughter Haley was born and grew up on campus. She attended Cushing 4 years and contributed greatly to all areas of school life. She was as well-rounded as you could be. She excelled in athletics, competing on 3 varsity sports. She also performed in our theater program and was outstanding in our painting and drawing program. Her senior year, she was co-president of her class. At graduation, she was garnered the Watkins Scholar Athlete Award and the Eaton Dunn Award given to the senior who made the finest contribution to the Academy. She moved on to the University of New Hampshire, majored in English and art, played D1 lacrosse, and raced on the cycling team. Upon graduation from the University of New Hampshire, she started her career at Cushing, teaching, coaching, and living in a dorm as a dorm parent. She is presently working at the Pomfret School in Connecticut as a director of the Learning Center, always making her students her #1 priority and emulating all of the great things she has learned from her teachers, coaches, and peers at Cushing. My brother Kyle, 17 years younger than me, one of the best things that ever happened for me, was a 4-year boarding student at Cushing. He was a superb student athlete with outstanding character, excelling in football, basketball, and baseball, captain of all 3 teams his senior year. As a head football coach, I had the great fortune to coach him in football. He was named the Ideal Cushing Boy Graduation, a major graduation award. Hal went on to Colgate University, where he was a standout in football and baseball. He is presently a very successful businessman for a major company in Manhattan, New York. I am deeply humbled and grateful today for this amazing honor and recognition. To be able to have your name on a building at the school you love and cherish and worked at your entire career is very special and a once in a lifetime event. It is an honor I will truly cherish for the rest of my life. Peggy, congratulations on the Lee House naming, so well deserved. You're an extraordinary woman and educator. You have made a difference in the lives of so many students during your CA career. Peggy and I worked side by side tirelessly for many years to make Cushing a better place. From today forward, we will remain side by side, bricks and mortar forever. Chris and Karen, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for this tremendous recognition. You grabbing it?
Mrs. Lee and Mr. Sanborn will now cut the ceremonial ribbon to officially mark the dedication of Lee House and Sanborn House. Yes, it's gonna be on the count of 3.
Okay, on the count of 3.
Yeah, on the count of 3.
Okay.
All right, want to do it together?
You can just go.
All right. Okay. 1, 2, 3.